I refuse to dislike a movie because I dislike the phrase generational trauma.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
We're here, Jamie. It's
We're
the
back.
Final Transmission podcast. We're back. We're so back. We're back. It's Sam Russo. It's Jamie Carruthers. It's Final Transmission. One horror movie per week, possibly from the dawn of time until the end of time, with no gaps and no breaks. How you holding up, Jamie?
I'm holding up fine. I've been in stasis since our last episode,
You just powered down.
hovering just outside of Periphery, waiting for the moment when we would be back. And it's now.
When you reactivated Jamie
Yeah, that's what I
back
do.
online.
I'm,
If you were a robot, what do you think your robot name would be?
J4M13. I don't know.
Watching the cogs turn. J4M13. Brilliant. I like it.
It was a bad answer to a inane question.
You just described my entire relationship dynamic. Moving on. Well, welcome back, Jamie, first of all. Welcome back.
Yeah. So events have taken place. We have both moved homes.
Yep, we moved in together. It was a big step, but we finally did it. We bought a house together, and here we are.
But we're still doing this over the internet because that.
Oh, yeah, I can't be in the same room as you. It's
No.
too much. So we're still doing it in separate wings of our new mansion
Yeah.
that we bought in Swansea.
Okay.
Yep,
That was
Jamie's
a cog.
ancestral homeland. Yep.
I've never been to Swansea. You know.
I don't know if I have either. I was trying to think of somewhere I haven't been that was beautiful and exotic, and I landed on Swansea. I've been to Swansea. I've just remembered I've been.
I've seen the film Twin Town, which is about Swansea.
Yep. Great film. I think what's really important here is that we emphasize just how fucking back we are. That little bit of stasis refueled every cell in my body. I don't know what happened to me in stasis because I was in stasis, but I'm back. We are talking about a film today, Jamie. Would you like to introduce it to our listening public? Would you like to do so with zeal and gusto because we're back?
It's The Monkey.
Yep. It is The Monkey.
It is 2025's The Monkey, directed by Osgood Perkins, director of Long Legs and Not Together. What was the other film that he did called? Keeper. It was called Keeper.
Keeper.
That's like his most recent film, but I haven't seen it yet. And this is like his bit of kind of renaissance. People liked Long Legs. I didn't really like Long Legs.
Nope. Ridiculous film.
I don't think I understood it, but I have watched it 3 times. So
3 times. I barely got through it once.
well, so
I don't know.
We've talked about it before. I watched it in the cinema, and I took a bottle of pre-made Negroni with me, and I just got drunk, so I didn't remember the ending. So I watched it again to be like, okay, let's watch this properly because.
And let's get drunk first, not during.
Yeah, and then I liked the little devil in the background stuff, and so I watched it again to try and pick all those fellas out.
I mean, I think it was visually pretty fucking awesome at times. So I was very excited at the prospect of watching The Monkey because I obviously watched
Frothing.
it after. I wouldn't say I was frothing because I'm always a bit skeptical of what I perceive sometimes as being king cash-in, nothing movies.
Yeah.
But The Monkey is not a favourite, but it's a real solid Stephen King story for me. It's in the catalogue in a place where there's like, especially in Skeleton Crew, but more broadly, there's a sort of stable of rock solid stories that just kind of work. They're not incredible, but they're like really well crafted, actually have a story, have a resolution, and land. And The Monkey's one of those. So it's pretty firmly rooted in my head as solid source material. And I was really excited to see what Osgood Perkins would do visually with this. And then I read a bit about Osgood Perkins, and my tits and balls got blown off.
Yeah. It's an interesting movie,
Yeah.
and we'll get into some of my difficult thoughts about The
you're gonna have
Monkey.
some groans about this one, I think.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, spoiler alert, overall, I quite like it.
Spoiled.
But like there are a lot of things in this movie that I find challenging or annoying. But the overall experience, I think, is fine. Like you say, it is based on a Stephen King short story from the collection Skeleton Crew.
Yep.
Which I reread for this podcast, and I forgot a certain line in that is repeated a few times, which is quite difficult to read in the year 2026.
Which line?
He talks a lot about how the monkey grins.
Ah, yes, of course.
And that's not fun. The way that I justify that to myself is that these are not meant to be great characters, so it's not Stephen King saying that. It's Hal 9000 or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, it's J4M13.
He didn't say that. He would never.
Yeah, I remember reading The Monkey exclusive of Skeleton Crew when I was really young, because someone at school told me there was a story about a monkey with symbols, like a little toy monkey that kills people, and I was like, okay, that's fucking sick, because that was very much in the goosebumpsy point horror type realm of everything that you're reading when you're a horror interested kid. And I remember going to the school library, seeing Skeleton Crew and being like, what the fuck? Thinking that was the monkey. I thought that was it was fucking massive. And I've managed to understand the concept of a short story at that point and find the story within the book and read it. And it was definitely one of the first end-to-end Stephen King completions of my childhood, and it sort of sent me down a deep and winding path of King fandom. So The Monkey has a pretty special place in my crooked little heart, and I looked at this from the outside and thought, Osgood Perkins is pretty cool on paper. The story's great. Visually, this is at least going to be interesting. Surely we're going to have some fun here. And I, spoiler alert, wasn't disappointed.
Just to flag, my copy of the Skeleton Crew, just Skeleton Crew, there's no other, says his latest bestseller on it, which is factually incorrect at this point, because he's released many books since this.
Yep. Just to clarify, everyone, I've got that edition as well. It's fucking great. All of those editions are sick, aren't they? The sparkly 80s skeletons and eyeballs and whatever else. I've got an absolutely bonkers edition of Skeleton Crew, a hardback, but it's downstairs. It's really good.
I have 2 identical copies of 4 Past Midnight. Would you like one of them?
No, thank you. I've got 2 identical copies of 4 Past Midnight.
Yeah, that's fair. It's this one, which is the one that I had when I was a kid.
Yep. Why the fuck have we both got 2 copies of that?
I think I bought one, and then I saw it for really cheap, and I was like, well, I can't just leave that there. It's the copy that I had when I was a kid.
I have to deprive somebody else of that by buying it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wow. And not even that great 4 Past Midnight.
No, but this little gribbly guy on the cover is a fixture of my childhood. I remember him forever.
Yeah, he is almost the definition of a gribbly.
Yeah.
What is in 4 Past Midnight? If we're going off-piste, we might as well remind ourselves.
Your absolute fave, the Langoliers.
Yeah, so Secret Window, Secret Garden,
Yeah.
the Langoliers, the Library Policeman, and the Sundog. Crikey. I do like the Langoliers, but I like it standalone. 4 Past Midnight, not so much. It's fine. So what was your first experience of The Monkey, if you can remember, or a defining experience?
I don't know if I remember fully, but I was definitely a young teen, like digging into the Stephen King books that my mum had many of in the dining room shelves.
Same.
And yeah, I remember picking up Skeleton Crew and it having a cool cover and me thumbing through it. I don't think I read it properly until much later, but at least thumbing through it and being like, there are words in here that I think are funny.
Yeah.
When I was 12. Less so now, Sam. Less so now.
Yep.
But it didn't hit me in the same way. I never, it was The Stand was the thing that really, I remember because it's such a commitment, and I was like, I need to sit down and read this fucking doorstop.
Yeah.
and I loved it. And so I went back.
Wait, how old were you when you read The Stand? Fuck me.
14, 15?
Jesus Christ. You read The Stand at 14 years old?
Yeah.
Isn't it over 1,000 pages?
Yeah, it took me a long ass time. But I was like one of those fucking glasses kids that would read. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like...
Yeah, I've heard of those kids.
I remember like I would be the guy like sitting on the playground like reading my book rather than like playing British Bulldog with the cool kids.
Yeah.
So after reading The Stand, I went back and I read a bunch of easier to digest King, and The Monkey was definitely one of those. And I mean, we'll get into this a little bit after the jump, but like the difference between the monkey and the story, or the events within the short story and the events within the movie, I think there's obviously quite a lot of liberties taken.
Yeah.
And I think some of those decisions are correct, and I think some of them are, we need to stretch this 30-page short story into a 90-minute movie. So,
of course, yeah.
Part of this is just set pieces for the sake of it, but like...
Yeah, well, I mean, what all he's done really is said, let's take that monkey.
Yeah.
Like the rest of it is, let's take the whole idea of that monkey and just make a movie. He hasn't said, like, let's do a blow-for-blow monkey adaptation.
No, and I think, like, part of the, what's the word? The subtext or the themes of the short story do come through in the film.
Sure.
I think the film is a lot more about, like, familial tragedy and generational trauma, which, Osgood Perkins has had a life.
He's had a bit of that, I imagine.
Yeah.
Crikey. I didn't know until I did a little bit of background reading about the old boy. Yeah. I just thought, there's a handsome man who knows how to point a camera. He's more than just a pretty face.
He is. He's got arms and legs.
Do you like him? I'm getting a Frosty vibe, and I don't know why. I thought this guy would be right up your crack.
Well, why don't we, Sam? Why don't you give us a quick synopsis of The Monkey? We'll take a break, and then we'll come and get into the hows and whys and whats of my relationship with Osgood Perkins.
How the fuck am I supposed to synopsis?
All right, I'll do it. Right, this guy finds... This guy's got a monkey, a fucking drummer monkey, because the Cymbals monkey was owned by Disney.
Yeah, that's a cool fact. We should talk about that.
Well, we just did.
Moving on.
And the monkey makes people die in really convoluted ways. And that's it. That's the movie, right?
I could have done that.
You could have, but you opted out, which means that next time, whatever the next movie is, you have to synopsize that.
I would have started with, so there's this monkey.
Yeah.
And it would have been downhill from there.
Yeah, basically, Guy has to try and navigate a world in which a monkey that arbitrarily kills people in really convoluted ways exists. And I think that is one of the most interesting things about the movie, is the fact that this monkey exists, and so therefore the world has to be built around the fact that this monkey exists.
Yeah.
But let's take a break, Sam. We'll come back. We will get into it after the break that we're about to take.
So a break.
Whoa, shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
I'm back. Are you back?
I'm so back, Sam. I'm back. I've got my peppermint tea. I'm raring to go. Time to make the donuts.
You don't like this monkey, do you? I can tell.
So I don't understand why the monkey's so fucking big.
That's massive. Great point.
Why is the monkey massive? Like, traditionally, these monkey toys aren't gigantoid, are they?
No, and I quite like how big it is, because it does make it more grotesque. And I hope it's not the case that they just said it needs to be bigger to be scarier, because that's dumb. But a big grotesque monkey, and it's all like hairy, and it's like you get a real smell of this thing through the screen, which maybe comes from scale. I think if you've got this little, gristly little monkey guy that's really easy to chuck away and kick around, it's less of a presence, whereas this thing is big and hard to dispose of, and heavy and hairy and smelly.
That's me, baby.
I like that it's big because it does enhance the grotesque for me. The teeth, the wrinkly lip, like all of it just looks better, bigger, in my opinion.
I mean, I understand it, but again, I think like we're talking about a world in which this monkey exists, which is obviously very different to our world because people have to reconcile these horrible tragedies, and they don't. And this is part of my big issue with the movie. Generally, is that it's really bought into that Marvel style of, whew, well, that just happened, and like that's my biggest issue with this movie is that like it's really flippant about all of this stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I think obviously that's a tonal decision.
It is a tonal decision. I agree.
Yeah, and you're right. It is asking us to believe in a world of characters where cheerleaders will cheer the death of a person.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a leap and a bit of an ask, and there's an element of taste there. Like you have to ask yourself, do I like that wry? Wow, he just exploded. Like that doesn't happen in a week. That kind of fucking. Do you like that? I think roundly, the answer of people over the age of 30 is no. But that being said, is there room for this to be done in a way that brings a little bit of mirth to the proceedings?
So, again, another issue on a similar note is that I don't think that the big sort of Final Destination style killings, death scenes, are especially interesting.
Yeah, I mean, on balance with the original, because there's a lot of deaths in the original story that are just like, she fell down the stairs, or she got shot, or like, that was it. All like hearsay deaths, not even described really. And that is spooky as all hell in the book, in my opinion, because it's information filtered through to the protagonist through other means. He's not standing there with his hands gripping his hair, screaming as someone explodes before his eyes. So yeah, all right. I mean, we're almost definitely going to drift into the which one's better debate here, aren't we?
Yeah. Well,
the book or the movie.
I don't know which one's better, but what I do know is that like I like the ambiguity of the book. Like,
yeah,
if somebody dies because an air conditioning unit has fallen onto a thing and has electrified the water, and then the person explodes the second that they hit the water, and the guy gets hit in the face with a leg. As I say that, I'm like, I should love this, but I don't.
It's weird because as you say, I should not love it, and I do.
Yeah.
That fucking death made me howl. I thought that was hysterical.
But like, there's no ambiguity that that's the monkey doing that, because like these events don't exist. Like they don't happen in real life. Whereas like people do get shot over like minor trivialities in real life, and therefore you can be like, well, I think it's the monkey, but am I fucking stupid and insane for thinking that?
Yeah, there's a lot of internal self-doubt and grappling with the whole idea of the monkey in the story, and that's kind of central to the horror, really, isn't it? Is the idea that you might be going insane, or a fucking toy monkey might be killing everyone you know. So yeah, I'd find that more interesting, more sophisticated, more meaty, more enjoyable. But because this is why the movie succeeds for me, really, in a nutshell, because the movie decides to be different from that, and it says, we're not going to try and develop any kind of psychological torment here, really. We kind of have this inbuilt sibling family thing going on that's different. But because we're not going to try and be the book, we can just blow people up. And the real central ambiguity here is not, is it the monkey? It's how is the monkey picking / who dies. Yeah. So because that becomes the central tension, and then the deaths are ultimately quite rewarding if you're just kicking back and enjoying a bit of a gore fest. And they are semi-unpredictable in some like a lot of this movie for me is unpredictable, and that's why I enjoy it. It really keeps me guessing, and there are both stylistic and plot-based decisions that genuinely made me go, that's a cool place to go with this. From the very opening scene. So I really like that, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm not really traditionally one for saying, just do what you want with Stephen King's material. But it works in this, I think.
I think, like, overall it does work. A bigger issue that I have is that, like, it's compared to Final Destination quite a lot.
Is it?
And I think, like, because of the sort of convoluted nature of some of these deaths.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that Final Destination does, and maybe they don't do this on purpose because they do it in Final Destination, is that they set up all of these, like, disparate elements that could all go wrong and form this sort of Rube Goldberg machine of death. And they don't do that here. So it's just like the door opens and a gun falls out and shoots a person in the head. It's like we've never seen that gun. We've never set up that gun's in that cupboard. It's just like that happens. And the only one that we do see, that sort of Rube Goldberg machine, is the motel pool. Yeah. And that's because at that point we don't know it's the monkey. I mean, we know it's the monkey, but we don't know where the monkey is. Obviously, we see later that Bill has the monkey and is doing the monkey business. But that's the only reason. That's the only like time that we get that sort of more detailed, convoluted, and also later with the fucking hornet's nest, which I hate.
What, flying through the bullet hole in the windshield?
Yeah, it just in terrible CGI.
Yeah. I mean, we can save people hours of misery here by just saying, because CGI always sucks, the CGI sucks in this.
Yeah, when the real estate woman, the realtor, who probably was in a punk band, and then the punk band wasn't doing really well anymore, so they decided to become a realtor.
That's definitely her character's backstory. Yeah, you can bet your house on it.
When she gets shot in the head, and her head sort of explodes and disappears. Yeah. And then also when Bill's, spoiler alert, when Bill's head gets knocked off by the bowling ball at the very sort of climax of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, they almost lean into it being so cartoonish that it kind of looks like a fucking Looney Tunes ham hock with a bone sticking out of it from like...
Which I love.
Like, it looks like it's come out of one of Yogi Bear's picnic baskets. Like...
Yeah. But how much do you love a neck bone? You know, too many beheadings and head explosions leave no allusion to the existence of a neck bone. And it's fucking great. You can just have that pokey-uppy, little rounded neck bone that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it still looks cool as fuck. Yeah. I like all the gore in this, really, to be honest.
I mean, I do too. I like the drop-kicked cherry pie of Osgood Perkins' character's death.
Drop-kicked cherry pie?
Yeah, that's what they say. It looks like someone drop-kicked a cherry pie. He's the one that gets trampled to death by horses.
Right, yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, I like... I don't think they put a foot wrong, really, with any of the deaths. I think it's a hit parade of explosive gore, which I just really fucking enjoy.
I mean, on paper, I do too.
Yeah.
But the idea that the movie is constantly digging its elbow into my ribs, being like, you like this, don't you? This is what you like. It sort of bristles at me in such a way that it puts me off.
It's made you realise who you are. It's held up a mirror, Jamie, and you don't like what you see.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of like smug, knowing movies that I really like. And that I think this is effectively a big budget Astron 6 movie, a big budget version of like a Psycho Gorman or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a good Psycho Gorman.
But like, I don't know, I think there's something about the voices behind that, Steve Kostansky, or like the fact that it's a bit scrappier and it doesn't have like studio budget behind it.
Yeah.
Makes it more interesting to me.
That's why I'm really interested for your take on Osgood Perkins, because all of this conspires, in my mind at least, and this is where you're going to be offended, to a Jamie movie. I don't see the flaw. I don't understand why this doesn't work for our lad Jimbo. So you must hate Osgood Perkins. I
don't know if I do. I think maybe he's doing something here where he's like, I'm trying to not take myself so seriously, because I'm Osgood Perkins here, but I'm talking about things that are very personal to me.
Yeah.
And this sort of generational trauma and this idea of like how it can feel like everyone around you is experiencing horrible shit. And you sort of feel at the center of this sort of death whirlwind.
Yeah.
And so I understand and I respect that. But I think like the idea of presenting that in this movie just doesn't really work for me.
I can totally see why. I think overused themes in Hollywood at the moment definitely include generational trauma. Just saying it makes me want to roll my eyes out my fucking arsehole. But I think if you're going to do it with a drum banging monkey and Stephen King source material, I don't think you can do much better than this, to be honest.
No.
Like, it wasn't telegraphing generational trauma to me. It didn't have a protagonist who was constantly shouting about it and crying about it.
One of the first lines of dialogue, Sam, which I have written down here, just to fact check you, is I don't know if every father passes some secret horror down to their kids. ...
But that's good writing. That's not someone saying, let me tell you about my generational trauma, and lighting a cigarette at a bar. You know, it's not...
I mean, it kind of is.
I don't know. I don't agree. I think that's good writing, and that sets up the entire rest of the movie without needing to return to it and hammer it into you. That's a high and tight synopsis of generational trauma, and what we're about to see is so much fun. That opening scene really fucking gets its hooks in, and not just because it's like a great cameo or whatever you want to call it, but because I would just struggle to find a world where Jamie doesn't love Adam Scott with a flamethrower in a pawn shop for the opening scene of a Stephen King movie. I just think there's so much fun happening there, and it's so fizzy, and it's really over the top, and it's screamy and exciting and colourful. It's the definition of just laying on the floor and having someone pour popcorn in your face while you howl with delight. And I am sad that you didn't enjoy it.
I mean, I do enjoy it overall.
Yeah, tell your face.
I think like my experience having had watched it is always better than when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
When I'm watching it, I'm like, well, this is annoying. This is boring. This is stupid. I think when the silly stuff stops happening and the plot takes over in that sort of final act, and we're in the hotel, and like they reintroduce Bill properly, and it's a whole silly thing, and I think that's much better than like the first two acts of the movie.
Well, then we should watch this as a tag team, because that's when I checked out.
I think it only annoys me again when the monkey is waiting for Bill's redemption arc in order to kill him.
Yeah, I just... That's the only weak point in the movie to me, is when it tries to have a plot. I think it's way stronger when it just says, monkey kill people. Haha, bang. Like, that's... that to me is much more fun than this fucking twin bullshit at the end. And that's a lot of weight for one actor to carry, playing both those characters in a movie with a really small cast that isn't, an indie that gives him loads of breathing room. This is a Hollywood movie, basically.
Yeah.
It's fast-paced, it's high-octane, it's demanding a lot from a character that has a lot of, like, quite hard-to-fill gaps in their character narrative, in that not a lot of his character really makes sense. Yeah. Why he hasn't talked to his son doesn't... It does make sense, but not in a way that you can easily bridge when you suddenly introduce the son and expect them to get on. And have chemistry on screen. So, for me, he's doing a fucking great job until he's given too much to do, and then it gets a little bit jank for my liking.
I think that Theo James is such a beautiful man that I would be thoroughly annoyed if they didn't reference it, and they sort of do at one point, but like the idea that like this fucking gigantic chiseled hunk is just working in a supermarket is just
ludicrous.
It's insane that is the biggest like logical leap that you have to take. Not the monkey is killing people, that like a man who looks like this hasn't even accidentally fallen into the most successful thing that you could possibly be.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's the same as like Thomas Jane in The Mist, or like, I don't know why these Stephen King movies need such absolute hunks. He's hot. And this movie also has Rowan Campbell from the movie you haven't seen, Halloween Ends. So did you enjoy him in this movie?
He was fine.
Oh, come on, it's a Stephen King movie with a Ramon in it.
Yeah, his character is a fun character, but like I like that he hates cops.
Sure does. What don't you like then? Come on, stop sugarcoating this plum. Give me the purple flesh. It's
the overall patina of the movie that I don't enjoy. It's the overall flavor. It feels like a big budget version of like a Sci-Fi Channel shark movie. Do you know what I mean? Like Sharknado or Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, where they're like,
but
they're trying.
You literally love that because you love Meg. That is that.
I don't love Meg. I like Meg.
Yes, you do.
I like
You've
Meg.
gone to the cinema to see every single Meg. You've given me
all
hours
of
lectures about how amazing Meg is. And you literally just said to me, it's like a big budget version of a sci-fi shark movie, which is the Meg.
No, I mean, you're right. But I feel like the Meg is maybe presenting it a little bit more straight down the barrel, whereas this is doing the sort of snidely, snarky, like we're doing this on purpose. We're making a goofy, dumb movie, but then also trying to have like lofty themes, and it just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I think generational trauma becomes a lofty theme when you start calling it generational trauma. When you just have a fucked up dad and a crazy son, and the results of that are monkey chaos. I think it's fine. I think people have just overblown this whole thing and decided that this movie's trying to do something really sophisticated and interesting. It's not. It's just monkey blow up people.
But it isn't, because obviously there are very few characters, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
There's Bill and Hal, and there's Thrasher, and then there's the Petey, the son, and like those are the only real characters that have any actual staying power, longevity within the movie. And all of their relationships with their parents are fucked up and what fuel mass death. It's that they're all. It's not like this one bit of generational trauma over here. Like it's every character that has anything of any value is filled with this idea of generational trauma. And I think you're right that calling it generational trauma makes it sound like more than it is. But I think like that's the point.
I refuse to dislike a movie because I dislike the phrase generational trauma.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
I like how this movie handles that difficult, complicated topic with a big, toothy grin and with lots of people blowing up. I think that's a cracking way to approach something horribly pretentious and overblown.
A thing that I thought was interesting, Sam, is that all of the people who are in positions of authority are in states of like arrested development. They're all like the cop is basically a teenager. The priest is like...
Priest is so good. I know you hate that priest, but I was fucking howling.
I like it in the moment, but like, why is nobody like, fuck you, man, this is my fucking funeral. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you doing this?
I really hope you say, fuck you, man, this is my funeral at your funeral. His best line is when he just holds his arms out and goes, it is what it is. I thought that was great. Really good. Because obviously you're expecting, or I am at least, that to be Stephen King. I'd want a King cameo there. So it better be good if it's not King. And it is great. Whoever this guy is, Nico Del Rio, smashed it. Great priest work.
But like, what do you think?
You're right. They are all dumb kids.
Yeah, like,
everyone.
what are we trying to say about that? Are we trying to say that, like, there must be a reason why all of the authority figures, the manager at the supermarket, the priest, the cop, like, they're all basically kids?
It's a fun way of saying all of this is made up. There is no authority. No one knows what they're doing. Everyone's dumb. And I, in this movie, love that as a theme. I mean, Adam Scott's character is Captain Petey Shelbourne. And he's running around with a flamethrower, losing his mind. Nobody has their shit together in this movie, and that's fun. A lot of movies fly off the rails when there's not a single character with their shit together.
Yeah.
But this is that kind of magical chaos where everything's wobbling on a razor's edge at all times, and it works. And then you introduce another chaos element, another character who's completely fucked and mental, and you just get fun, explosive results. It's about as close to perfect execution of this kind of movie as I think you can get. Because if the priest works, the movie works for me. Because if the tone of that comedy is right and it makes me laugh and it doesn't take me out of the movie, then I think it's winning. The cheerleaders I found a little bit difficult, but then by that point you're leaning into the absurdity so much, you can buy it. Like, I buy that town, I buy the cheerleaders, I buy that maybe this isn't even actually really happening. At that point you're kind of questioning the fabric of the reality of the movie, and is it all happening in a monkey's mind? And that's just a fucking fun place to be.
There are two gags in this movie that are, I think, perfectly executed.
Hit me.
The first one is when it's like Bill and Hal, and they're like, we think the monkey kills people. We're gonna, and he's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna spin the thing. And he's like, don't do it. And it's immediately smash cuts to Osgood Perkins' character's funeral.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's great.
You like that? Okay.
I like the smash cut. I like the smash cut to
Yeah.
the funeral, because it's like, we don't need any of the other stuff. I mean, we get that in a flashback, and that's fine and fun too, because who doesn't love physical fucking pig dick mints being poured out of a sleeping bag? Like, everybody loves that. But like,
so good.
So there's that, and then also later the sort of the seemingly innocuous like parachute jumps. Oh, they do weddings, and then the payoff to that gag, like at the end, like they do weddings. We see it happen at the end, like that. That is a great payoff gag for me, and in a moment where like the plot has overtaken the movie and we are sort of ratcheting towards a resolution of some kind, like that's great fun to me.
Yeah, the seed's planted really deftly for that joke.
Yeah.
It's not because you sort of go, huh? But it's moving at such a clip, you don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
It just is next. Almost Simpsons-y kind of planting there. And obviously that's some of the most fucking sophisticated comedy on earth, in my opinion. So love that. I was worried that you wouldn't like the smash cuts because sometimes I think you might feel a bit robbed. I mean, they're obviously very clever with it. You get both the payoff of the smash cut and the reward of actually seeing what happened between the narrative and the smash cut.
Yeah.
But I was a bit worried you'd think that was too hokey and too schmaltzy.
I mean, maybe I would in another movie or another time, but like it just does it really well. And I think like it's just a good punchline to be like, rather than be like, oh, we're gonna do it, oh, we did it, and then it cuts to Uncle Mike or whatever his name is, like hunting, and then we have to watch this whole sort of long scene of it. Like we don't need that. We know that the movie is set up that turning the monkey kills people, therefore we don't need to have a whole setup there. It's just a case of like, oh, we did it and it happened. That's funny.
Yeah. I think quite a clever and interesting choice for me as well is that the kids aren't much fun. They're not very funny, and I think it's deliberate. They're kept quite stoic and traumatized, and because of that, we get a lot of our comic relief from the adult narrative in the movie. I think that's cool because the kids still seem very vulnerable. They still seem very much future victims of the monkey the whole time. It's like they're in genuine danger the entire time, and they're kids, so you're constantly worried about them. But because they're not funny, it gives you some serious tension around the whole kid narrative, which is really fun. They're much fleshier than the adults, and you fear them getting hurt a lot more. I thought that was a cool decision because if the kids are hysterical, wisecracking, precocious kids running around, you've got a totally different segment of the movie there, and it doesn't match. So I thought that was quite clever. But can we, if possible, talk about the monkey itself?
I would love to. I'd love to get into the pathos of the monkey and try and work out with you, try to understand with you what it's doing and why it's doing it and how. Maybe not how, because I don't care about how.
I kind of care about how. I like magic. All right, let's talk about the monkey. First of all, I think not really choosing, I guess, but having the monkey play a drum rather than two cymbals is better.
Okay.
Because the crazy monkey with the cymbals, everyone knows it. It's a thing. They do it without announcement. They just have the monkey have drumsticks. It all feels totally natural. It spins the drumstick in the air, which is incredibly cool. Its body language around drumming is great. The sound of a snare drum is much more interesting in a horror context in terms of the percussion and the texture of the sound. Cymbals are annoying.
Yeah.
The monkey with the cymbals is annoying and frantic and dumb. A monkey with a drum is deliberate and it can change its pace more and it can be more menacing for my money. So it might be the best thing that happened to the movie that Disney copyrighted a monkey playing cymbals.
I think like it would entirely change like the audio landscape of this movie because you'd have to like lead into that with the soundtrack and have this horrible, almost like, I mean, not to invoke Psycho, but like you would have to like bring in sort of that Bernard Herrmann Psycho score type situation into the monkey in order to have the cymbals feel like part of that audio landscape. And you don't necessarily need to do that with the drum because it's just a drum. But I do think it's cool. I don't know if it's better or worse. It's just different, and I think that's fine.
But I think visually it's great to always have line of sight of the monkey's entire body with the drumsticks. You can see the face at all times. The mouth and the eyes are the scariest, and the hair are the scariest things about this monkey. And they're on full display the whole time. You could do some cool stuff with the cymbals, but I think it gives the monkey an entirely different character to have a drum and drumsticks. And I just think it looks fucking visually great, and it has this poise when the sticks are up in the air. there's more menace implied there than when the arms are open wide with the cymbals, because the position is the same at rest as about to clash the cymbals. And when the sticks are on the drum, it's kind of the same feeling. It's like a mischievous, I'm about to lift my arms feeling. And I think that animates the monkey completely. Bear in mind, like, nothing articulates on the monkey except its arms. And there's still so many shots... And the lip, yeah, sorry. But there's still so many shots in this movie where you almost think it's moving. Like, it's really cleverly shot. It's beautifully shot, I think. And, yeah, I think one of those great, lucky, accidental happenstance complete creative pivots happening there with good old Disney copyright.
I don't know if this was a choice that they made, or whether it's just like, okay, there's two of these flavor monkeys exist. One of them is cymbals and one of them has a drum. So so we'll use the other one because we can't use the cymbals one. But like, playing a drum is a deliberate thing that requires a skill, whereas banging a cymbal, like when you talk to someone in the office and they find out you're in a band, like, oh, I'll join your band. I'll play the cymbals. I'll play triangle. Like,
I'll play triangle. You
don't need any musicianship or skill or forethought or talent or anything in order to play cymbals. Or, I mean, maybe you do.
If there are any orchestra percussionists listening to the podcast, I apologize wholeheartedly for what Jamie's saying right now.
I stand by it. You are scum. Play a piccolo or fuck off.
Can't believe how hard you just lent in on percussionists. It requires absolutely no skill to play a triangle or cymbals.
I think, like, to be the monkey playing the cymbal doesn't require skill, but being...
If you've ever clashed cymbals together, orchestra style, it's surprisingly hard, dude.
All right.
Until you get it, and then it's easy forever. Until someone explains to you how to do it, and then it's easy.
It's like riding a bike. You do it sometimes.
Smash your arms together and make a loud noise.
Yeah, I just think there's something much more deliberate in, like, actual drumming, like military snare drumming, than smashing cymbals together.
For sure. And how important is it to this film that the monkey's right? You know, it's the cover. It's the central terror.
Yeah.
It's the source of all chaos, mayhem, and death. It has to be perfect. And I just think it is. There's nothing I can imagine being different about this monkey that would improve any of those factors, apart from maybe the size.
So why do you think the monkey doesn't kill Hal or PT or Bill till it does?
I don't know.
Is it just narrative convenience, or is it...
Yes. I think to be honest, I do think the monkey is an agent of chaos and has a plan. And I like the idea that the monkey's actually in control the whole time.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that it's ultimately going to resolve in everyone being dead if the monkey has its way. If the monkey is invincible and has this wonderful power to just, be thrown down a well and then appear in your bedroom, anything's possible. The monkey, I think, is both sentient and is possibly a trapped spirit of some kind within the confines of a little mechanical monkey, banished by a fucking gypsy warlock in the 1800s or something cool like that. So I think there is an element of narrative convenience, but that comes from the fact that the monkey wants to do all this stuff. It has a little bit of agency.
Why do you think the monkey would just be dormant for 15 years or however long it is?
Because it's menacing. The idea of dormance is far more frightening to me than the idea of constant activity and bloodlust. The idea that a monster hibernates or a creature, just sort of recedes into the background. An evil spirit might not appear for 500 years, because to that spirit, 500 years could be 2 seconds. In the narrative world where we believe in the existence of menacing and evil spirits, they can do a lot of things with time, which I think is quadruply scary. The dormance to me is almost like the blink of an eye to the monkey, or it could be a deliberate period of observation. It could be a lot of things, and that unexplained is far scarier than it was in Tijuana before it got here and it killed 50 people. It doesn't have to always be out there killing.
I buy that. I don't love that in the movie. Like I like.
It was a hard sell, and I knew you weren't going to buy it.
I like the idea that it goes away a bit, but like the specter of the monkey haunts Hal so much that like all of his, I mean he had a relationship enough to have a child, so like he couldn't have. It says to me that like you had this relationship, you had a child, but then you distance yourself from that relationship and from the child because you were terrified of the monkey. So in theory, there should have been some sort of monkey event that happened post birth of child.
Sure.
But there wasn't, or at least they never refer to it in the movie. So like that is a bit of a leap for me.
Yeah, but maybe it's one of those fatherhood things. You hold that baby in your arms and you just think, fuck, imagine if a monkey blew its head up. That would be bad. I'll see you later. You know,
Yeah.
It might be a dawning realization at the first day of fatherhood where you go, fuck you now, and get the fuck out. I mean, I buy it. I don't buy their relationship really on screen. It's one of the only couple of minor weaknesses that I would pick out of this. But I honestly maybe would even credit that to just being a little bit of a lack of on-screen chemistry potentially. And again, Theo James is such a rough character in this. Like I find Hal very difficult at times to watch and enjoy. But he's doing a difficult job, I think, as an actor, and that's a difficult role.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pitch that, black as night humor next to what is kind of an action movie at times.
Yeah.
Next to, we're supposed to get some emotional depth here. We're supposed to understand how tortured he is and how fearful he is, and he's got to keep the entire narrative moving at all times.
Yeah.
I can't really criticize him for that. And when you bring in that sort of difficult, kind of blank teenage character, it's hard to bounce off.
I think he's given a real short shrift as well, because like there's some bits of what look like or sound like ADR dialogue, like in the fucking motel explosion when he's like,
Right.
Fuck, is that a leg? Like there's no need for that. There's no need for you. It's clearly a leg.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's definitely a leg. Do you enjoy the Adam Scott line, "You infernal son of a whore"?
I don't like the delivery.
Really?
I'm not an Adam Scott guy.
No, I know, and that's why I thought this might win you over a little bit.
Against my better judgment, like I love Severance, but like I don't like
I'm all in on Adam Scott.
Step Brothers and all of that Parks and Rec type stuff, and
he's really funny in those.
There's something weird and angular about his face that says that he shouldn't be doing comedy to me.
That's why I love him as a success story. He's one of our last character actor guys who isn't like a classically handsome dude. He's not Jim.
He is
He's
classically handsome, but in a way that I don't think works for comedy. Do you know he was like the heartthrob?
I'm not taking anything away from him, but
the heartthrob bully in like a season of Boy Meets World. Like,
yeah. Does he wear a leather jacket in that?
He does, yeah. They
Yeah, I
basically
can remember
replaced Harley Kiner with his character.
Yeah. But like if we're being Hollywood
Griff.
critical of a man's looks, which I don't want to be, but
I
in order
do.
to place him as a success in my mind, he's a smaller man, he's short of stature. He's quite slight, he's not like a gym guy. He does have a face that is, I would say to a lot of people, punchable. And he's not like he's almost Tom Cruise, but he's nowhere near Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
in terms of like classic handsomeness. So for him to have a successful career in Hollywood as kind of a character actor, also a very, very funny man, I would recommend everyone watch Party Down if you're skeptical.
Party Down was good.
Party Down's fucking superb.
I watched Party Down because
Great
I love Martin Starr. Like I'm a big Martin Starr guy, and I
Yeah.
watch anything that he's in, including fucking Tulsa King, which
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
it's awful, but it's Sylvester Stallone and Martin Starr. Like who's gonna argue with that?
The things that you will give a pass to, honestly, Jamie, I swear. You're starry-eyed. So, also Lizzie Kaplan, all-time babe. So I just think seeing him doing so well in so many different areas and stretching different muscles and having a part of his career where he gets to kind of lean into stuff that he obviously likes and enjoys. He's obviously a horror nerd. He obviously loves Stephen King. He was obviously sitting on the playground reading the book at school. I think it's fucking great to see him in this. I wish he was in it more. But yeah, I knew that you wouldn't like him in. Well, no, I thought this might win you over a little bit. I just sort of, part of me knew he wasn't going to pull it off in a high and tight 35-second cameo. Wasn't going to do it. I just thought that line might have tickled you.
I like the line. I just don't love the delivery. But I think like because we're going for this sort of larger than life, we're not digging into the pathos here. This is just like a silly romp, and that's what that scene is meant to set up. Is like that's why it's Adam Scott and not some unknown actor or whatever for this like tiny role. This Gordon Street garage petrol pumper man.
What?
It's Wayne's World
okay.
2. Yeah.
Charlton Heston. Yeah, sorry.
Like there's a reason that they picked him, and it's to set the tone of this movie as the tone of this movie. And
Yeah.
I think I just want the tone to be a bit more like straight down the line and to find the ridiculousness in the ridiculousness of the things that are happening, rather than like the Looney Tunes music playing in the background and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think it's impressive that the monkey remains scary, an anchor for the horror throughout the movie, despite the hijinks?
Yeah, I do.
There's not a moment where they cut back to the monkey and I go, ha ha. It always cuts back to the monkey and I go, oh fuck, forgot about it.
I think a thing that undermines the scariness of the monkey is the dream sequences where it's on the head of a sexy lady and all that stuff.
A little bit.
I think that like those moments in a movie that had a sort of straight down the middle tone would feel much more, I don't know, Lynchian or like surreal and scary because of the sort of surreality of it, rather than like, and that's what they're going for here. But like, it doesn't land because the tone of the movie is so silly.
Yeah, I think it's junk surrealism. It's not true, serious art school surrealism.
No.
It's our audience knows what surreal is, and this is it. And it's kind of a shiny surrealism.
Yeah.
And I don't normally like that. It feels a bit reductive, but for the purposes of horror comedy with Stephen King roots, I think it fucking lands.
Yeah. Can we talk about a thing that I think is ambiguous and also quite scary in its ambiguity? The death of the mum.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a monkey death, or do you think that's just a death?
I think that's a monkey death.
Really?
I thought about it quite a bit because it's, again, great stuff that it's not telegraphed.
Yeah.
But I think it has to be a monkey death. Embolism.
But like,
bang.
Nobody else just dies of an embolism. They get a fucking.
It's a king death.
It's a book death. It's a death from
Yeah.
the short story rather than a death from the movie.
I don't think you can blow the mum up. I don't think you can have the mum fall down a sewer, explode, and fly out the toilet up someone's ass. I think she needs a.
Sounds like you would love
slightly,
that to happen.
Yeah, I know you would. A slightly more dignified death, because she's so important to our understanding of these kids and who they become as grown-ups. It is still a fucking harrowing death. It's still gory somehow.
I sort of also wonder if like the death that we see isn't what actually happens to her. We sort of get the impression that like from Bill's flashback at the end where she turns around and is like, I have to go now.
Yeah.
Like that it's almost self-inflicted or something.
Yeah, I hadn't connected those two things, I guess. So run that by me again. At the end,
we see a flashback where
there.
Bill
Yeah.
walks into the room and she turns around and she's not bleeding yet, and she says, I have to go now, and that cuts it out. Like
So you think maybe, are we alluding to the fact that maybe she killed herself?
Yeah.
Interesting. I just thought that was kind of a poetic, I don't know what this is called in a movie, but like a rewrite of what really happened.
Yeah, that's also possible.
Yeah, just for the whatever it is, like the emotional impact to land, you have to see that in a different way in the character's mind rather than see it how it actually happened. I don't know what that's called, but it's cool. That would be my take. I didn't get any indication. I think they would have planted seeds a little bit more in a movie like this if she had killed herself, because they'd want you to know. They wouldn't want you to be guessing, and they'd make a big deal out of it. It would be like a haha, look what we did, rather than a little nugget at the end. Because subtle this movie fucking ain't.
It's true. It is true. The fact that it's sort of different to all of the other deaths makes me think. Yeah. I like that ambiguity in the short story, and I would have liked a different movie with those sort of ambiguous deaths until it can no longer be ambiguous and people are falling through the ceiling. And I think that would be the ramp up that I would have liked to have seen. Potentially.
I think maybe I'm just this movie's target audience, because my worry about this was that it was going to be too self-serious, it was going to be slow, and it was going to be kind of painfully drawn out and obvious. Because the monkey, once you know what's happening with the monkey, and you do before you even watch it, if you've got half a fucking brain, you're not bored, but you it's a huge ask to keep that engaging. Like you said, a short story for an hour and a half. What the fuck are they going to do? I was worried it was going to be dull. So I think I was so surprised, and so happily surprised, when it was anything but dull. And especially when it was funny. I just thought, you've got a couple of choices here with this source material, and you've, in my opinion, both made the right decision and made the most fun decision for your audience, which is more than half the battle, really, when you're adapting Stephen King.
Yeah.
Believe me, if they made a 2-hour Shining movie that was hysterically funny, we'd be having a different conversation. But for some reason, it kind of works with the monkey.
If you hadn't read the short story, you might believe that it's about a monkey that is alive and
Right.
gets up in the sleep and hits you with the drumsticks until you die, or something.
Yeah.
And that
maybe,
could
yeah.
also be cool. But like,
No, it couldn't.
it could.
Jamie.
It could. I'm not saying it.
You want to rewrite this perfectly serviceable, hilarious, gory monkey movie into a doll movie.
No,
That's what you wanted.
I mean, we don't know that would be dull. I think that could be cool. It would take some work, but it could be cool.
Right.
The movie that we get, I think, overall works. Why don't we? I think I've said everything that I want to say about the monkey. So why don't we take a break and come back and give our final thoughts?
I've got a great note that I haven't touched on.
All right. Well, give us your note.
Bowling ball to the face. Nice.
So that's a callback as well, isn't it? To the
Yeah.
a sort of a shot from the opening or from the very early in the movie. That is part of that sort of narrative convenience thing that is there, and I don't hate it. I sort of enjoy it, but like it kind of bugs me.
Do you enjoy bowling?
No, I've got something wrong with one of my bowling fingers, so I can't bowl.
What's wrong with one of your bowling
I've got like a
fingers?
scar like right here on like the joint of my finger, and it's exactly where the bowling ball like goes. So every time I try and bowl a ball, it hurts, and it makes
When you
it
bowl with the other... Which finger? Middle finger?
middle finger, the prime bowling finger.
Yeah, that's almost an unavoidable
Yeah.
finger. There's got to be some three-fingered bowlers out there who... Get a special ball made.
What with fucking little Borg-lined bowling ball.
What's the scar from?
It's from when someone jumped on my finger in a mosh pit when I was 14 years old.
Bone through the finger.
Yeah, it was.
And it still hurts.
Yeah,
You can hold the ball lower than the scar.
it's right on
Like
like
not...
It's right on like this joint. So like,
Yeah, you could...
there's.
Just the tip.
I'm just not sure, but it does. I bowl. I have bowled, but it's the reason why I'm so bad at bowling is because like I'm constantly trying to adjust for the scar, and if I don't adjust for the scar, it just fucking hurts. And
Much like the plot of the movie The Monkey.
exactly.
But instead of a scar on a finger, a scar on a soul.
Yeah, a mark, an
Are you
omission,
bowling right now?
and a brand and a scar.
Dashboard Confessional.
Correct.
Good album. Anyway, back to horror movies.
Yeah. Well,
Should we have a break?
should we take that break and come back and give our summations?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, before we do, Sam, actually, this
Yeah.
this podcast is brought to you by Red Scare Industries.
Red Scare Industries, brainchild and mutant love child of Toby Jegg and Brendan Kelly, Chicago-based record label, purveyors of the finest punk rock in the land, many releases in the year 2025, going into 2026 hot, ready for another banner year. It's Red Scare Industries, redscare.net.
Yeah, get yourself there. Check out some tour dates. Buy some vinyl records or CD albums.
VHSs.
Yeah, and have a good time.
Come on, man, does that thing even work? No. There's nothing out there. It's just dead air.
I'm back. You have to be back too.
Yeah.
We're back. Tell the people what you just said.
Well, so I think that the generational trauma of someone external to my personal relationships is less interesting than the generational trauma of me and my friends.
Fine. That's very egocentric. But you can't objectively say that Osgood Perkins doesn't have an interesting backstory
Well,
as a human.
That's not what I said. I said that his generational trauma doesn't interest me as much because it's just some mysterious third party that I will never meet and I don't have a parasocial relationship with.
Can you explain it to the people listening? We've buried this well, because I think if you didn't know anything about Osgood Perkins's life, past, history, etc., you've made it this far in the podcast and you're about to have your fucking noggin spun.
Well, so I don't know loads about his life and stuff, but like
Yeah.
obviously his dad is Anthony Perkins, the psycho
Yeah.
man from Psycho 2,
Yeah.
which we covered way back. He's also in Psycho 1 and Psycho 3.
Yep. Anthony Perkins, also in Psycho 1.
Yeah. He died of complications with AIDS.
Yeah.
And was a gay man trapped or forced to be trapped in a non-gay situation for quite a lot of his life,
Yeah.
which I think will probably make things quite difficult for your child.
Yeah.
Or,
What about his mum?
well, what about his mum, Sam? Why don't you tell us?
She fucking died in 9/11.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, pal. Your dad was Anthony Perkins. Hooray! Then you find out all of the things about Anthony Perkins and how horribly tortured he was and what an awful fucking life he had, hiding his entire being from all of his loved ones, all of his, well, most of his colleagues, and his entire fucking life and career. And then your mum just gets on a plane one day and whack, it gets flown into a building.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people died on 9/11. The odds are...
Yeah, sure. But two of them being those particular people and having a human child who goes on to make movies, that's a fucking... that's the movie.
Yeah.
Why is he making movies? You should be having movies made about him. I just think that's a fascinating place to come from as an artist, and then to make a funny film about monkeys blowing people up. I just think that's all very cool.
I mean...
I really like him conceptually, because... not because this origin story gives him some fucking superpower as a director. That is such a fascinating place to come from as an artist in terms of what you're going to bring to the table as a filmmaker. It just really helps that he's fucking good looking and super stylish,
Yeah.
and makes these gorgeous looking movies. Even if he's still figuring out how he articulates some of these themes in story, his fucking eye is incredible. And I'm just really keen to see... his name's Osgood as well, which is fucking amazing. I'm just really interested to watch this career, because he's a guy who loves shit like Silence of the Lambs, obviously, who loves Stephen King, who approaches Stephen King with enough deference and reverence and respect, but is also not afraid to go absolutely mental with the source material. He's kind of invincible, and I think some of that invincibility comes from this incredible parent backstory situation, should we call? I don't know how to talk about this sensibly, because it blows my mind so much.
I think like it wigs me out. It, to paraphrase Danny Dyer, it does my nut that like he
was that. Did you just paraphrase Danny Dyer or quote him?
No, I
directly?
didn't quote him directly, but he's talking about 9/11. From his seminal tweet, I can't believe it's been 10 years since those slags flew planes into the Twin Towers. Still does my nut to this day. Say a lot of things about the fundamental Islamic terror group Al Qaeda, but slags, I don't know.
Definitely slags.
What does my nut, to quote Danny Dyer, is 9/11 as a concept of a death is something that wouldn't be out of place in The Monkey. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
such a
so-
convoluted, insane
Yeah.
way to die that
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around it. Like, every single death in 9/11 is the most harrowing thing that could ever happen to anybody ever.
Right.
So, like, the idea that, like, this guy whose parent died in 9/11 is making a movie where people die in these really sort of insane, convoluted ways that should never happen. It's so bonkers to me. There's the amount of, like, cognitive dissonance that I need to have in my brain in order to not enjoy that is, like, insane.
It's hard.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's so easy to be such a fucking gorehound and be really insensitive about it and just treat it as a nugget of exciting pop culture information.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, anyone who suffers any kind of loss or the impact of any kind of terrorist attack, a horrible, violent action, most of the time, almost entirely all of the time, an innocent bystander of some kind, whatever happens next is fucking basically impossible. Just to, swing your feet out of the bed and put them on the floor in the morning is hard enough. To find a way to channel it and end up making The Monkey, that's what I mean about it being mind-blowing and almost making me laugh. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just think it's a fascinating trajectory for an artist to go on. And I love Anthony Perkins. I love his horrible tortured story. I love those movies. And his child carrying on in horror?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's just fascinating. What an interesting ride we're in for with this dude. How old is he? He's not young.
I'd call it, what, 45 maybe?
Yeah, born in 74.
So that makes him 50.
Oh, 50, yeah.
52.
Wonder what he was like as a kid. He was a fucking nightmare.
I think any kid called Osgood is going to be a nightmare. In one way or the other. Do you know what I mean?
Osgood. It's a great name.
Okay, so...
Should we wrap it up?
here's my sum up, right?
Go on.
When I'm watching the movie, I mentioned this already, but when I'm watching the movie, I find the smug tone and the self-aware, like, I love the smell of my own farts atmosphere of this movie really, really annoying. But somehow, a kind of magic alchemy happens towards the end of the movie, and that's, no matter how smug and annoying it is, when the credits roll, I can't help but, like, feel satisfied and nourished in a way that, like, this movie spends its entire time digging me in the ribs, being like, haha, you like this? And, like, the answer is, yeah, kind of. So...
You just hate being told.
Yeah. And like I say, that there are a million movies that have a similar tone that just don't have the budget or the look of this movie. And I think that's what rubs me the wrong way, is that, like, I don't want Hollywood to, like, co-opt the interesting things that are happening in low budget movies in order to help sell big budget movies. But then, you know, I've got to take what's in front of me, and I quite like it. So I will give it 12 out of 19 raps on the old snare drum.
You're dead, bitch. Why didn't that happen in the movie? That would have been a good line.
Would it?
No. Good stuff, Jamie. I think I don't want to spend my sum up criticizing your sum up. But I think you brought a lot of baggage to the bus station here. I don't think I'm as you always do, actually.
Yeah.
You are renowned for your overpacking, shall we say.
Well,
I think this is...
I think everything I experience is through the prism of me experiencing it. So
Lame.
I have to bring my baggage because I'm a person with feelings and agency. So
yeah, but you chose to pack those bags. First of all, you chose the biggest bag, and then you filled it with crap. You could have just bought a bum bag, dude, or a fucking put your phone in your pocket.
I have lost the analogy, but I did not choose.
I'm bringing it round.
I did not choose my baggage.
Like a bus pulling into the bus station, I have to swing it wide. I think what happened here, if you'll permit me to diagnose, is you smelled a self-aware, rib-digging movie coming, and you immediately put your defenses up way too high. Because I don't think this is as smug as you think it is, and that's saying something, because I despise smug, self-aware, rib-diggy movies. And I think there's elements of that in this, but I just don't think it's as saturated in that tone as maybe your rating would imply. Because that is a deeply off-putting trait in a movie for me, and I fucking flew through this laughing and enjoying myself. And it was at Halloween, so I was expecting a scary movie, and I got a comedy romp. So I should, by that measure, have been disappointed, but I wasn't. It looks gorgeous.
It does
very
look
fun.
gorgeous.
It's very risky.
The color work, like it's beautifully lit. Like the color grading is gorgeous. You've got that sort of. It feels like almost like it has the look of like a Stand By Me or like a classic Stephen King. Like
what is that? The wash kind of bluey red.
It's gorgeous.
It looks great.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really saturated, which is quite often a bit of a visual tough swallow, but it's just right. It's right on the cusp there. I think I love it when, and again, I don't know anything about this shit, but when a show or a movie washes everything out with kind of a blue tint almost to make it look retro, but then saturates the fuck out of the reds and makes everything really rich. A bit like Castle Rock does that a little bit, another King property. There's something about King's material, I think, that is evocative of that kind of color palette, because you're almost always going back in time with it, and you're almost always having some kind of... King is quite nostalgic in his writing, but also there's a nostalgic quality to reading it, and then artists who gravitate towards that bring a high level of technical skill and just seem to be blasting this shit out pitch perfect. So I got no notes for The Monkey. I think it's an excellent horror comedy, and I would give it 9 big, scary, wet, toothy grins coming up at you from the well out of 11.
You didn't know out of 11.
See what I did there? I think it's a fucking good old fun time, and it's a real rental romp. I would have loved to have been 15 and rented this and watched it on a Saturday night with my mates.
Yeah, well, much like Repo the Genetic Opera, which we talked about in our pre-show chat over at Patreon, patreon.com/Final Transmission, I also spent a lot of time wondering whether I would have loved this when I was 15, and the answer is almost definitely yes.
Yeah. Would you love the version of this that would have been made when you were 15?
That is tricky, because who knows what that would have looked like. I mean, it would have been very fucking green. We know that.
It would have had some god-awful special effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been very The Faculty-esque. Right, let's say goodbye.
Okay, so you can further engage with us, as I mentioned, over at Patreon, where you get uncut, unedited video and podcast versions of episodes of the Final Transmission podcast, like this exact one, and many, many others like it, over at patreon.com/Final Transmission. You can follow the podcast over on Instagram at FT Horror Show. You can follow us individually on Instagram at I'm Carruthers, and Sam is at Sam Russo Music.
You can follow my other account at Big Sweaty Balls.
I'm not going to check, but I think that's not your account.
It's not, you're right.
You can also follow me over on Letterboxd, which is Jamie FT. I changed it to make it really easy.
That's good. What was it before?
D.
Carrother me this.
D_Dangerous.
D_Dangerous.
I think because _Dangerous was already taken.
Big Sweaty Balls on Instagram is not a great follow, just in case anyone's wondering.
Is that with an S or with a Z?
4 Zs.
Wow. Until next time, okay, bye.
I really thought you were going to say get fucked.